So welcome. This is Nancy Honeycutt, the STS National Database ACSD monthly webinar for August 7th. On the call with me are from the STS, Carol Crone, Leanne Jones, Melinda Offer, Paul Meehan, Banu Yagsi, and Addie Dolan. We're going to go ahead and go through our agenda for the day. We're going to have some STS updates, and then Melinda has some good education on previous CV interventions. For updates, the August training manual has been posted. AQO registration is still open. The Data Manager Collaborative is now open, and Addie is going to talk with us a little bit about that. And then I just have a couple of exceptional risk reminders, and I'll just go ahead and share those. I don't have a slide for that. Just be mindful when you are submitting a case for exceptional risk that you are redacting your records prior to sending those. We're getting a lot of records that have not been redacted. We need the records totally de-identified. So no patient information, no hospital information, and no provider information. So if everyone could please help us out with that, we would be very appreciative. Next slide. So here are some important dates coming up. Today, August 7th, is the monthly webinar. August 21st, we will have our quality improvement webinar, which will be event update. August 23rd is ACSD Harvest 3 closes. August 27th, opt-out for Harvest 3 ends. Then September 11th through 13th, we'll be in Nashville for AQO. Hope to see a lot of you there. And then on September 18th, Adult Cardiac Surgery Quality Improvement Webinar, we're going to talk about blood usage. Next slide. All right, so again, August 23rd is Harvest Close, Harvest 3, opt-out, August the 27th. Harvest 3 includes procedures performed through June 30th, 2024. The report should be posted fall of 2024, and this is a star rating harvest. Paul and Banu, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. Hi, everyone. As you probably know, in May, we released a new NPI validation functionality on the IQVIA platform, and it impacts participants using a third-party vendor, software vendor. And this feature ensures that only the cases of surgeons or anesthesiologists on your contact list are accepted into the database. So if you upload a file that includes cases for a physician not on your contact list, the records will trigger a critical error and the cases will not be accepted into the data warehouse. So prior to May 2024, this might not have been an issue for many of our sites, as we did not have this functionality in place, and you might have been uploading without any issues, but it's up and running now. And since we have a little over 2 weeks until harvest close, we encourage you to start doing your uploads and see if you run into any issues regarding this. If you do not, that's great. We're very happy for you. But if you do, please email us at stsdb_helpdesk@sts.org, and Paul and I will assist you with what you need to do. Paul, would you like to add anything?
Just submit early and often is basically our motto. So you can find out whether you have a problem or not by just sending in some data, and give it a try now. That'll give you the most amount of time to be able to fix the problem if there is an issue. Because this, when sites do have this issue, it sometimes takes a couple iterations to get it fixed. So we recommend doing this as soon as possible. So just send in some data. Make sure you don't get any error messages about your NPI values, and you should be good to go.
Yeah. And
Thanks,
please
Paul.
let us know if you have any questions.
This is Carol. I'm just going to jump in. Thanks, Paul and Banu. I just really want to make sure everybody knows to make sure you get your data in as soon as you can. That's through OR dates through June 30th, 2024. So we're not waiting to the last week to get data in and uploaded. Get as much of it in now as you can, and then those that you're still waiting on the 30-day follow-ups on, get those in as soon as you can too. I'll hand it back over to Nancy.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Next slide. AQO in Nashville, September 11th through 13th. Adult cardiac surgery database will be on the 12th, which is Thursday. If you're planning on reserving housing at the Lowe's Vanderbilt Hotel, be sure to do that prior to August 21st to get the STS group rate. That rate guarantee expires August 21st. Next slide. Early bird discount pricing has expired, so the pricing going forward is listed under standard rate. And then the virtual pricing is also standard. Next slide. Oh, prior to this next slide, back up one, Carol. Carol is going to say or give you some more information regarding AQO.
Thanks, Nancy. Sorry about that.
You're
I clicked
welcome.
slides too fast. Okay, so as Nancy said, AQO is September 11th through the 13th. Adult cardiac will be on September 12th, which is Thursday. If you haven't registered yet, we're having good attendance this year. It looks like we'd really like to have you in person if you're able to attend in person. It's a great way to network and communicate with one another, meet your peers, and just have those discussions with people that we see online. Right now we have over 400 people on these webinars, and it's really nice to meet people in line. I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of you in person that will be at AQO this year. So please find me, say hi. But if you are able to attend, please register as soon as you can. I'm going to show you on the STS website where you can find the information. And I also want to show you the agenda and talk about something new we're doing this year, which is super exciting for me. So on the sts.org under education, calendar of events, and this is the easiest way I found to do it. And then just scroll down. These are all the things we have going on here at STS. You'll find the 2024 Advances in Outcomes and Quality and Outcomes meeting, a data managers meeting. Just click on this and it'll bring you to the page with all the information. So you can reserve your housing, you can register right from this screen. Again, like Nancy said, the housing deadline is the 21st for the reserved rate. The meeting AQO will be held at the Lowe's Vanderbilt Hotel, and our housing is also at the Lowe's Vanderbilt Hotel. So you'll be right in the same room, right in the same hotel as the meeting. So we have the schedule. Adult cardiac is on September 12th. Also, the evening of September 12th, after the adult cardiac day, will be our networking thing where we all get together after the meeting and just sit around and chit chat and get to meet one another. And pricing agenda, Nancy's already gone through the pricing. Early bird ended on May 16th, so we're under the standard rates. And then I do want to show you the agenda. And this is a very it's a very strong agenda this year for the meeting. I'm going to scroll back up to the top just so you have an idea when you get to this page that you're in the right spot. It looks like this at the top, but we're going to start with Wednesday, which is the Intermax PDMax day. Nancy is also over the Intermax database, so she'll be presenting that day along with Patricia. They'll both be the moderators. Really great things. They're going to introduce the new risk model that's coming out. And then we have our on-demand content. Next day, Wednesday is, I'm sorry, same day, Wednesday is also general thoracic. So we double up on Wednesday with Intermax and general thoracic. We'll talk about lung cancer, esophageal cancer, the new risk models, and the new calculators that have come out for GTSD. We've had a lot of stuff going on at STS this year to really highlight how strong the databases are, and the good that it's doing for patients nationwide, for all patients. So the risk models are just one of those, and the risk calculators for GTSD. Now, Thursday is our adult cardiac day. Nancy, Melinda, and I will moderate the sessions. We'll start with the breakfast, and then remember, your breakfast and lunches are included in the price, and they're usually very nice meals. I'll give a quick welcome, hand it over to Dr. Bowdish, who is our task force chair. He's going to go over some high-level information for adult cardiac. He's going to talk about some of the new risk models that are going to be reported out within the next couple reports, and a couple other things that are going on within adult cardiac that are pretty exciting. Beta blocker project by Miklos Kurtai. Dr. Kurtai is an anesthesiologist at Vanderbilt. Anomalous, I picked that name just so you all know. Dr. Whitman, who is one of our favorite presenters, will be presenting that about anomalous arteries. And then Melinda's going to be doing case scenarios. We're going to break then for break in foyer of the Symphony Ballroom. And breaks are also pretty nice. We do have some treats and coffee and tea and water and all that good stuff. We have invited Dr. Karen Kim back to give a get to the root anatomy of root operations. And then I'm going to talk a little bit. This schedule is going to adjust a little bit, so this isn't set in stone. The timing's not set in stone yet, but what I want to point out that's new for our adult cardiac session, and we're not doing it in the other sessions because we didn't receive a whole lot of abstracts, but because of our national quality improvement project on reducing vent times and increasing extubation in OR and reducing prolonged ventilation, we received probably 80%, if not, I want to say around 80% of our abstracts we received were all focused on reducing vent times and projects that were done at the hospital level. They are truly phenomenal. So new this year is we're going to have 2 sessions, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, where we have invited the abstract submitters to come and give an oral presentation for their abstracts. So we'll probably do like 4 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon, and they're not, I think 2 of them are not going to be related to vent times, but all the rest of them will. And it's phenomenal. And I think it's going to be really great for folks to hear how the data is being used, how the STS data is being used at the sites to improve patient care and outcomes, reducing costs, and just really highlighting all the work that you all are doing on the quality improvement initiatives within your presentation. So this is something new. We've never done it before. I'm thinking that Melinda, Nancy, and I will moderate these sessions, and we may have some surgeons, leaders up there who will be part of the panel discussion. So those are new. We've never presented all of our abstracts before. So really looking forward to that one. And then we'll have lunch. This Dorothy Latham Poster Award presentation is going to be the winner of the abstract. So we're going to move that to the afternoon time after the second oral abstract presentation session. We also have anatomy and dissection of the op node with Callie Carroll and Heather Hampor and Dr. Dawn Huey. Post-operative events, another break, get to the root case scenarios. So this is piggybacking off of Dr. Kim's presentations where she did the anatomy. We're going to have some case scenarios with Callie Carroll, Nancy Honeycutt. And then don't let your follow-ups fall off the track. Again, I picked that name. So Melinda and Nancy are going to share some information about follow-ups and tracking logs and ways that you can keep your keep a good eye on your patients after surgery and after they're discharged. And then the session adjourns, and then from 5 to 6 we'll have our networking reception. For on-demand content, we'll have Dr. Keith Horvath discuss CMS reimbursements, updates, ERAS, annual enlargement, O to E ratios, IQVIA reports, aorta, honing in on hemodynamics, gridding the graft grid. So really full agenda, lots of information. All of these sessions will be recorded. So if you purchase the live, or if you're going to join us in person, you'll get to see these in person, and then you'll be able to access them again and go back and review the information. Also, we're offering CEs for the sessions. So it's a very full agenda, going to be a great learning experience, and really looking forward to this. And then Friday we'll go have a congenital heart surgery. All right. So that's what I wanted to share with you on that. Sorry, it took a little bit longer, Melinda. I know we want to get to the Q&A, but really excited about AQO this year. We are planning to be back in person again in 2025. The original plan was to do virtual again in 2025, but we've changed that because we really want to get together, but we want to highlight the education, and we want to see people in person. We want to see you and meet you and learn together. So, all right, Addie.
Thanks, Carol. Hi, everyone. You may know me if you've ever needed to update any contacts, any database contacts at your site. And I just wanted to, before I started, give a quick reminder that our annual contact update this fall is coming up pretty soon, and that will be for your annual billing. So please do make sure that all of your contacts are up to date. You can do that all year long, but especially in the fall. We'll send a message out about it. But if you have any questions about how to do that, feel free to contact me at stsdb@sts.org. So if you have any questions about adding surgeons, removing surgeons, how do you find out who your billing contact is, I'm definitely happy to answer any questions that you have about that. But what I really wanted to talk to you about today is the Data Manager Collaborative. We're so excited to announce that this program is now open. You may know it by its previous name, the Data Manager Mentorship Program. So with the DMC, we are relaunching it and pivoting more towards a collaborative approach where you don't have to be an expert to get involved with this program. You don't need to know all the answers. We'll be transitioning away from the traditional mentor mentee relationship, and we're really hoping that this is just going to be a supportive network for you to ask questions and answer questions, just another resource for you to have. So on the website, I can link this in the chat. We've created a list of FAQs for you, including the benefits of participation. So I'm just reading off the website. Participating in the STS National Database Data Manager Collaborative will provide functional support for your role, ask and answer pressing questions related to data abstraction and more. You will create new connections, build your network, and be part of a professional community. So we are also hoping to, oops, I'm sorry. In the frequently asked questions, we've put together some questions that we're hoping that you can that you'll know that you could get answered by participating. So questions that you could ask by being part of this would be things like, what are the general rules of data abstraction, and how do I collaborate with my surgeons, or how often should I meet with them? So questions about your workflow like that, or potentially education questions like, what resources are available to me, and where do I go to find them? So if you're interested in signing up, we'll have you complete a short sign up form. It's linked there. I can link it as well in the chat. It'll ask for your name, your email, your database component, and some other factors such as your years of experience, your software vendor, your EHR system. We'll try to match you up as closely as possible in all factors. And then once you're matched up, we will put you in touch with your match. You can feel free to discuss with them how often you'd like to meet, how you'd like to meet by phone or email or Zoom call, and get some of your questions about data abstraction. Yeah, just another resource for you to get some of those answered. So one thing to note is that if you previously participated in the mentorship program, the past program, we will ask that you please sign up again with the sign up form. And if you have any questions at all about participating, about the sign up form, about if you are paired and you would like a different match, or if you want to leave the program, please feel free to email us at stsdb@sts.org. Thank you.
Thanks, Addie. Carol added a QR code on this slide. If you guys want a link to link that way to the sign up for the Data Manager Collaborative.
Thank you.
All right, next slide. Okay, Melinda, we're ready for awesome education on previous CV interventions.
Hi, everybody. It's been a while since we've had some education, but we're gonna start it up again. So I'm starting where I left off, previous CV interventions. Next slide. Okay, so just so you know that sequence 665 and sequence 805, these are previous CV interventions, and previous other cardiac interventions are in the risk model. They also were audit fields in 2023. So these are important fields to understand and to code properly. Next slide. Question number 1, we're doing polling. I know you guys like polling. My patient had a previous percutaneous impella inserted. How is this coded in previous CV interventions? A, it's coded as a ventricular assist device. B, other cardiac intervention not listed. Or C, it's not captured as a previous CV intervention.
Okay, Nancy is running. Good job, Nancy. Look at you. Nancy's running the polling her
Wow.
first time.
It's my first time, everyone be patient.
Oh, wow. I'm glad I asked this question. I think let's see. It's probably good enough. Don't you think, Nancy?
Yeah, you want to end?
Yeah, I think we should. So looks like 64% of the people got the right answer. So the answer is, next slide,
Oh, that's me.
Carol. It's not captured as a previous CV intervention. Okay, so first of all, placement, this is a percutaneous impella. Okay, so we're not capturing it as a previous CV intervention at all. And the other really important thing to know here is that an impella of any sort, I don't care what kind of impella it is to be coded as a temporary assist device. Do not code an impella as a VAD in the STS database. Thank you. Question number 2, we're moving on. All right. How do we capture previous procedure of Watchman device implant? So A, atrial appendage obliteration, left surgical, atrial appendage obliteration, left transcatheter, atrial catheter arrhythmia, atrial arrhythmia. This is like tongue-tying stuff. Ablation, surgical, atrial arrhythmia. Okay, start the polling.
Look at you, Nancy. I'm so
Wow.
proud. I'm so
They're-
proud.
Their fingers were fast here. They're not, they
Yeah.
know the answer to this one, boy. They're on it. Okay.
What is a Watchman device implant, Melinda?
It's that little device they go in and plant when you cannot tolerate anticoagulation. They plant it in your LAA, and it is, if I keep talking, I'm going to give the answer away. So I think we can stop. 82% of the people, I believe, got the right answer. Okay, so let's see what the answer is. That's Carol's job.
Oh,
The
yeah, I'm slacking over here. I'm like, oh,
answer-
Nancy's got it. Nancy's got it.
the
Oh, I
answer
forgot
is
I still have a job.
atrial appendage obliteration, left transcatheter. So as I was explaining to Carol, the Watchman procedure is a minimally invasive transcatheter procedure done by a cardiologist. The device is implanted into the LAA, which is your left atrial appendage, in people with AFib, especially those who need to avoid long-term use of anticoagulants. Very good. You guys did good with that one. All
Yeah,
right.
great job. All right, before we go over to the next question, I just want to throw in the information presented on these webinars on the STS National Database webinars are property of the STS and intended for sole purposes of the STS and not to be used outside of STS. So thank you. All right, next
Okay.
question.
Question number 3. Patient had an aborted mitral clip procedure on 2/16/21. There were no clips deployed. And then they had a mitral valve replacement on 2/19/21. Do I capture previous transcatheter mitral valve repair in sequence 675? Yes or no? So they had an aborted clip, they didn't place any clips, and then they did an MVR. So are you going to capture that mitral clip as a previous CV intervention? Yes or no? Fast on the fingers this time too. I love polling. It just makes me feel good.
It does.
It's fun.
It makes me feel good that you feel good, Melinda. See how much fun we would be to hang out with at AQO.
All right, I think we can stop. 87% of the people who answered. Now, I'm also seeing only 50% of the people are answering. Come on, guys.
All right.
Got an answer right. And the answer is no. So per the training manual, in this particular scenario, you do not code as a prior mitral valve intervention since the procedure was aborted and no devices were deployed. Okay. All right, so we'll move on to the next question. Question number 4. Patient has a history of a chemical cardioversion. That means a cardioversion done with drugs, chemically done. How do I code this in previous CV interventions? A, I code it as a cardioversion. B, it's not captured as a prior CV intervention. Or C, other cardiac intervention not listed.
Nancy's like, get trigger finger. Look at her.
She's doing,
I think I'm getting it.
I knew you
we
would.
got a
See?
little split on this one, so not quite as unanimous as the last couple ones have been.
So what are the other types of cardioversions? We have chemical and
Well, I would call it physical. They actually,
shock the person
shock you.
Mechanical.
back into the rhythm. So
Mechanical, that's the word.
mechanical.
I'm like, yeah, anybody that's going to shock me, that's definitely physical in nature to me.
So chemical cardioversion is where they use some type of medicine. For those who are not medical background, it's they use a medicine to try to convert the heart rhythm back into a normal sinus rhythm. If it's an AFib or something wonky like that. So they will give you an injection and hope that it changes you back to a normal sinus rhythm, where mechanical would be that they would use pads to shock you with the machine.
Right. And it looks like 65% of the people got the answer correct to this question.
And the right answer is?
It's not captured as a prior CV intervention. So because it's a chemical cardioversion, it's like Carol was describing so eloquently. They give you medication to convert your heart rate. So we don't capture that as a prior CV intervention. If it had been mechanical and they'd actually shocked you, we would have captured it as a cardioversion. Okay.
Great. So we're going to go on to the next one.
All right. How do we capture a previous mitral clip implant? So this patient had a mitral clip implanted. So A is mitral valve repair percutaneous, B is mitral valve repair surgical, C, mitral valve replacement surgical, D, mitral valve replacement transcatheter.
So, oh, look at that, Melinda.
Interesting.
Hank's very excited in the background here. He's about to get a pig's ear, so
Oh, jeez.
he's really big guy's really excited.
I think we can stop. We've got about a 75-20 split here. And the correct answer is mitral valve repair percutaneous. So the mitral clip is a minimally invasive transcatheter procedure done by the cardiologist to repair mitral valve regurgitation. So it's essentially a repair. It's much like a surgical edge-to-edge repair, but it's done transcatheter and they apply clips. Oh,
Sorry, I went the wrong way. Sorry.
that's okay.
Right.
Okay. I think I was done with that one anyway. Question number 6. How is the Ross procedure captured in previous cardiac interventions? So choice A is an aortic valve replacement. B is a pulmonary valve replacement surgical. C is an aortic procedure route. D is a congenital cardiac repair surgical, or E is code A, AVR, B, PVR, and C, aortic procedure route. Oh, look at there.
You thought you were going to be tricky, Melinda?
They're smart today.
Smart every day. They're smart every day, Melinda.
I know.
You
they
can't get
are.
them.
It's hard to tell, because I don't see this polling every day, but I can tell they're on their game today for sure.
Uh-huh. Well, what is a Ross procedure, Melinda? I bet you're going to tell us on the next slide.
I'm going to tell you on the next slide. And actually, the reason I bring this up is because, I get a lot of questions about this in the FAQ mailbox. And I'm actually we're seeing more and more Ross procedures done on adults too. So I've gotten quite a lot of questions about how you actually code these in the database, because more and more adult cardiac surgeons are doing it. Okay, so I think we can stop. We kind of got a mix here, but the majority of people chose choice E. And that is the correct answer. So when you do a Ross, you're basically you're taking the pulmonic valve out, right? And your native pulmonic valve is removed and it goes into the aortic valve position. So, and then you put homograph, generally speaking, some type of homograph valve into the pulmonary valve spot. So you've done an AVR, you've done a PVR, and then generally speaking, you will do most often you do some root type procedure to get all that construction performed. And so those are the best choices when somebody's had a previous Ross as to how to capture their previous cardiac interventions. I mean, you could say congenital cardiac surgery repair, but to me, that's just a bucket that's just there. It's like, okay, well, what does that really mean? And in this for this procedure, we have choices so we can accurately describe and capture what the previous interventions the patient had. So
I was going to say coding it this way is, like you said, more descriptive. It gives
It is.
more information.
Does, yes. And it'll actually add a little risk to the patient too, because you've got prior valve procedures here on different valves. So, okay.
Valve, pulmonary valve replacement, and aortic root. Yeah, and this would even remove it, the aortic procedure root part of the procedure would remove it from the new risk model that's coming out on multi-valve.
Yeah, if you were coding this, if they were having this procedure done, this would be a double valve plus aortic procedure. And I have slides. I did a couple presentations on this already on some the Northwest Call, and then I actually did this presentation for the congenital group last year. I think the Hot Topics webinar. So.
Okay, Laura's saying, can you move the poll box off to the side? I think, Laura, you might be able to move it on your screen. Okay, good, you got it. All right. Sorry about that, everybody. Next question.
My patient had a previous open transaortic impella inserted. How is this coded in previous CV interventions? Okay, so this is an open transaortic impella. So A, we code it as a ventricular assist device. B, other cardiac intervention not listed. Or C, it's not captured as a previous CV intervention.
Hold on, I'm having trouble.
You're gonna get it. Just deep breath. You'll get through
One
this.
sec.
Let
I
me know if
moved
you
the
need.
box and it got,
That's okay. There you go.
This is an
See?
interesting one.
Yeah. So a previous open transaortic impella inserted.
Uh-huh.
How was this coded in previous CV interventions? I would probably have to go to the training manual for this one.
me too.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I ask these questions, because sometimes there are things in the training manual that get overlooked or missed.
Is there a general rule of thumb for coding other cardiac interventions?
Well, generally, it's anything that's not been listed, and usually we have pretty clear instructions about what that includes in the training manual,
Okay.
and what it doesn't include.
Okay.
All right, I think we can stop. We got a pretty good split here with B and C, so let's actually see what the answer is here. And the answer is B, other cardiac intervention not listed. So why is this one different? Okay, so this is an open surgical transaxillary or transaortic impella. Okay, so it's not like a percutaneous impella that they just stick through your groin in the cath lab. This one requires an operative procedure. So it has been decided that this particular type of impella can be coded as an other cardiac intervention not listed. And I was happy to report that a lot of you heard what I said in the first slide about we do not capture any impellas, any sorts of them, this one included, as a VAD. So that's very good to know. All right, I think we have one more, maybe, or two more. Nope, I might have two more. Okay, question number 8. The TAVR is aborted due to LV injury. An emergent SAVR is performed. Do I code the TAVR as a prior CV intervention? A is yes, B is no.
What's LV mean, Melinda?
Left ventricular injury.
Oh. So they put the TAVR in, but they did something to the left ventricle?
They fixed the hole in it.
Yeah.
And they did a SAVR, too. So
Okay.
it went in there, fixed the LV, and also performed the SAVR. So what do we do with this TAVR? Do we code it as a prior CV intervention? Boy, now this is a real interesting split.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Okay, so 61% of you guys got the answer incorrect. The answer is yes, this is a previous. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. So first of all, the TAVR is not a required entry case for our database. Okay, those are optional to enter. So what you have here is you have a SAVR that's performed and an LV injury repair. Those are required entry cases for our database. So in this particular situation, you're not coding the TAVR. That's a prior CV intervention. Your index procedure is going to be the SAVR and the LV injury repair. Okay. And this is the only time that we have some language about aborted procedures in the training manual, and this is kind of tricky.
I was gonna say, you're getting tricky. This is why, because in the MitraClip one, we didn't code that one as a previous CV intervention, but, and then that's why you got the split.
This one you do because this procedure, this aborted procedure resulted in an emergent or urgent surgical intervention. So we want to capture that procedure. And there's clear language in the training manual about that. So this is a different type of scenario. If you guys encounter these types of scenarios, which I know a lot of you do because I get a lot of questions, I've done many presentations on this in the past, and are happy to send out slides to help you code this if you need help with that.
Yeah, that's a good one, Melinda. I think, is there in the training manual, do we have a whole section specific to TAVR procedures and coding them as CV prior CV interventions, right?
Well,
There's
we have a
bunch of
lot
things
of
that have,
language. We have a
Yeah.
lot of language in the training manual about how TAVRs are optional cases. That, you know, you don't have to put those in our database. And so, and then we have language about
Can I ask
timing and various things related to this. But as I said, if you guys are interested in needing the slides for how you code something like this, I have those available. And I think we've even done webinars on it before.
yeah, this is really great information. Can I ask a question about status?
Mhm.
Not status, but number or prior number of procedures. So, you know, first procedure, re-op, second, third, and etc. For this case, so a patient came in, they aborted the TAVR, emergently took the patient to the OR. They did a surgical aortic valve and they repaired the left ventricle. How are you coding prior operations? I know we're going to code this
Oh, you
as
mean incidents? You're talking
yeah,
about
for
incidents?
incidents. Sorry, I couldn't think of the short name. For incidents. So how are we coding incidents? I get that we're going to code it as a prior CV intervention because this resulted in an urgent or emergent surgical, and I'm assuming salvage as well would go in there, surgical intervention. But how are we going to code incidents for this case if the patient didn't have any other procedures in the chest cavity?
You would code it as first CV surgery.
Okay.
The TAVR doesn't affect incidents in this situation anyway, because the patient's never had anything else done and never had a TAVR done. We've got some specific language in the training manual that talks about prior TAVRs and then needing another AVR. It's very, very specific cases. So I don't want to really get into that now.
No, I think you did a great job in the training manual on it. I just wanted to bring it up because you'll see a discrepancy where you're coding a prior CV intervention, but you're not counting this as a prior incidence.
Right.
Okay.
And the other thing I'll just mention, since you're talking about incidents and you talked a little bit about status, remember that this SAVR and this LV injury repair, that's your planned emergent procedure that your CT surgeon's doing. Okay, so and like I said, I have slides for that if you guys need help. If you hopefully you don't see this much in your institutions. I think that most sites have gotten so good at doing TAVRs. I don't think we see a lot of these anymore, or at least I don't when I do TAVRs. So
That's one of the good things about the language in the training manual with this is because you don't see it that often and you may forget how you're supposed to code it. So there's really good guidance in the training manual. I've had to use that before I've had an issue coding that.
Super.
thanks, Nancy.
You're welcome.
You did a good job in the training manual on this one, Melinda.
All right, question number 9. Maybe I have 10 questions. I can't remember. My patient has a history of cardiac arrest with defibrillation and CPR. Do I capture the arrest, defibrillation, and CPR as a prior CV intervention? Yes or no? Oh,
You got you did a good job, Melinda, with this education.
you're doing good. Yep.
We have a really nice group on today too. We have 426 attendees.
Wow.
Analysts. It's a really nice group and really, really good. It just shows how much we need to work together, and learning from each other. Stuff is so important for our database.
I think we can stop this one. 86% of the people got the answer right.
We don't know the right answer yet. I haven't changed the slides, Melinda.
I know, but I know.
Just kidding.
The answer is no. So there are things like these things are not coded. So implantable loop recorders, life vests, defibrillation, ICD shocks for arrest, putting a balloon pump in, putting a temporary mechanical assist device that's percutaneously placed, right? Temporary pacemakers, cardioversions, during arrests or CPR, that we don't consider those prior CV interventions for the training manual. This is the last question. Okay. Put your thinking caps on. My patient had 2 previous aortic balloon valvuloplasties, an open AVR, and a TAVR. How is this coded in previous CV interventions? So we have 2 choices here: aortic valve balloon valvuloplasty, aortic valve replacement surgical, aortic valve replacement transcatheter. That's choice A. Choice B, aortic valve balloon valvuloplasty ×2, aortic valve replacement surgical, and aortic valve replacement transcatheter.
And you're getting tricky.
Well, I'm doing this to make a point. We'll see that on the, we'll do that. We'll see that on the answer slide.
Yeah. And everything was a separate trip to the OR, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just know that this is what they had.
Oh, okay.
A lot of times I don't get that info. Well, sometimes I get that information. I don't make these questions up, generally speaking. People send them to me.
Yeah.
This is kind of an interesting little split too.
Okay.
Okay, I think we can stop because time is getting short. So 65% of the people got the answer. Okay, Carol, the answer is A. Got the answer correct. So we're going to just code this as an aortic valve balloon valvuloplasty, one time, aortic valve replacement surgical, and aortic valve replacement transcatheter. Because in the risk model, if procedures are done on different valves, then it's going to affect the risk. So like if you have a PVR and an MVR and an AVR, you want to code all of those separately. But if you have the same type of procedure done twice on the same valve, it's not going to affect risk. So if the patient has had multiple of the same type of intervention, you just need to code once for each separate intervention. Hence the reason we only coded the valvuloplasty, the AVR surgical, and the AVR transcatheter. And I think that's all I have. Thank you guys for listening to me today. We can take questions now.
Yeah, really great presentation, Melinda. Sorry, Nancy, go ahead.
The next presentation will be part 2 of previous CV interventions, and we'll be talking about the stents and things like that we didn't cover today.
Sounds good. Nancy, do you want to go ahead and read the questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first question I see is, Is it possible to include data managers on all emails regarding potential exceptional risk cases, even if they are not ones to submit the form?
I think we
Carol?
do. I think when we, and this is a new process for us, so it's slightly evolving as we're going forward. We had a good plan in place to start, and we're just kind of tweaking it to make sure we're being inclusive. Sometimes, if the person who submitted the form is a data manager or listed on the site for the listed on the PID, we usually contact that person back. And then they can loop in whomever they need. Maybe going forward, Nancy, I don't know if we've been doing this or not, but maybe going forward, we don't want to include all of some sites have, 20 backup data managers. We don't need to be including everybody. We're usually looking for the primary, unless Nancy and I know one of the data managers' names, we use that person. Just because we're familiar with that person and we worked with them before. But I know that we're trying to make it so the right people are aware. What have you been doing, Nancy, when you've been getting
I've been trying to communicate with the primary data file contact. Especially when the surgeons submit the forms. And that's another thing. We're getting some multiple submissions. The case only needs to be submitted once. And I know maybe the surgeon doesn't communicate that they're sending the case in or whatever. But I've been trying to email the primary data contact first. And then if I don't get a response, I move on from there.
Okay, maybe what we
is-
can do is we'll continue emailing the primary if there's, and then in that email we're sending everything encrypted between STS and the site. Maybe in that process, in that original email we send, we can ask if there's anybody else at their site that needs to be included in the emails.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Carol.
Okay. Hopefully that works, Peter.
Question about the exceptional risk form. One of our APPs submitted a case. They were the only person emailed back and were on nights and missed the 72-hour window. I was under the impression the data manager and surgeon were emailed to collect clinical information. Will this impact us participating in the future? Thank you.
I'm not sure I'm not sure which one that was. Did we have anybody who hasn't responded back? I didn't think so.
I don't think so. I'll have to check the records again. But Brandy, if you want to, if you can email me and honeycut@sts.org and let me know which case you're talking about, we will get it, we'll get it straightened out.
Thank you.
What's up with frailty? I just saw it was put on hold.
We don't have any, oh, go ahead, Nancy.
Oh, I was just going to say we don't have any updates on frailty at this time.
And yeah, correct. We don't have any updates. We're hoping to have an update, but we just don't have anything. I think one of our surgeon leaders was working with one of the state collaboratives who had recently started a frailty project, and to bring us some ideas on ways to improve the process with lessening data burden.
Okay, Justin is asking about exceptional risk. He's new.
Yeah.
So we started June 15th with the exceptional risk exclusion. It's a process where sites can submit cases that fall out of the risk models that we currently have for the database. They can submit those for review and get those cases taken out of analysis. There is more information on the website at sts.org. Also, our last webinar, Carol went over that, and that webinar is posted on the website as well.
Yes. I just add in the YouTube it's on the website and the YouTube channel. So for those of you who are new and haven't explored the STS National Database YouTube channel, let me see if I can easily find it. Hold on one second. It's here, STS National Database, and we have our playlist for each of the databases, and then ACSD live webinars. We did the exceptional risk webinar on July 17th. So that's the one you would want to refer to for additional information on it.
Thanks,
And
Carol.
yeah, and also I put the link in the chat box under the National Database for Data Managers section. Under Adult Cardiac Surgery Database, we have a drop down here for exceptional risk exclusion request. It gives you more information, and it has the completed form. This list are things that can be considered for exceptional risk. It does not guarantee that the case will be excluded, and it will continue to evolve as this process continues to move on.
All right, Julie had a case canceled that was submitted for exception. Julie, you can email me and honeycutt@sts.org, and I will take care of that for you. Where can we find details on excluding cases? It's not in the IQVIA library. Right, sts.org, and then the webinar from August 7th, or no, that's today, June, the last webinar that Carol said.
Yeah, June 17th.
June 17th.
I'm sorry, July 17th.
July
Oh, Lord.
7th.
July 17th. I can't believe it's August already.
I know.
Yeah.
Time is flying by.
Right.
Sandra, I'm attending virtual and believe that it's not live. When will the live section be posted for the virtual attendees? Carol, do you know?
I don't know the exact date. We'll have some of the pre-recorded content ahead of AQO for the virtual attendees, so you could watch some of the on-demand content ahead of time. And then after the in-person, I think it might take a couple weeks for us to get that information up there. Emily Conrad is out today, but she's the one who has those dates, so she'll know, and she should be reaching out to folks to let them know when it's available. Excuse me.
All right, sorry. Had to scroll back.
Yeah, it's okay. The questions move around sometimes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Sandra, I'm attending virtual and believe it, oh, we just answered that one, sorry. Tabitha, is there any update on all the new procedure composites coming this year?
I can give an update on that.
Okay.
So we have two new risk models that will be coming out for adult cardiac. The first one is going to be a multi-valve plus or minus cabbage. That's expected to be released with Harvest 3. It is not a composite star rating, so it'll just be risk-adjusted data in your analyzed reports and benchmark data. The second group of model that's coming out is the multi-procedural composite, which will be a star rating. That's expected to come out with Harvest 1 of 2025. More information to come on that. We will educate you on that, provide information in the national report overview, risk model variables and things like that. We typically run new risk models for about a year before we do any type of option for public reporting. I'm not sure that we'll be publicly reporting the new multi-procedure, but as I said, more information to come, and we will educate on it. Multi-procedural is just going to be a combination of the current PROC IDs. So you have all of that already, and then it will also include the multi-valve risk models that will be released with Harvest 3.
Thanks, Carol. We're a little bit over. Carol, do you want to continue if people can stay on, or?
Yeah, I think I have a few minutes left. I can certainly stay on until 3:30 Central Time. And we'll try to fly through these questions.
Okay, Pat's asking if we have paid for one day for AQO, are we still able to view all the other days that are available, such as thoracic congenital, or only cardiac, if that's what you've paid for?
Yeah, I'm not sure how we've done it in the past. I think you'll be able to see the content for all of them. Because I know on the virtual, when you purchase the virtual pass, you receive all of the content. So I think you'll still be able to receive all the content, but we'll have to confirm with Emily Conrad, but she's back.
Then Laura says the problem with only having in-person conference and only one day of the conference is adult cardiac. The hospital does not feel the cost is worthy of one day of education. So therefore many can't come.
Yeah, I think we certainly understand that, but really hope that the hospital see the value in the amount of education you're receiving, what it means for the hospital's data quality, patient outcomes, and things like that. So yeah, certainly understand it's an expense that has to be budgeted for.
Nancy, how many people at Nashville? Any tips for next year's location?
We're tracking pretty good. I think we're just about, well, I don't have the count for the number of people. I know that we're tracking better than we have for our last in-person meeting. So, and for next year, no, we don't have next year's location. We don't have contracts in place yet for next year's location, so we can't share anything on that.
Peter, don't Impellas get coded as VADs for heart transplants?
So I know there's a lot of, I've been reading these questions, Nancy, so I'm going to just make a statement here just so that it kind of, there's a lot of, we were talking about previous CV interventions. So these are interventions the patient had previously had, okay? And that's all we were focusing on. And we kind of got off a little bit. And I hope I didn't confuse you, but so a lot of you have questions about, well, were these Impellas and balloon pumps and all placed during the index procedure? No, these were all previous CV interventions. That's what we were talking about when we were doing the questions. So I will try to address these questions now, but some of these are like, I'll try to address them. So Peter, for yours, I don't really know what you mean about an Impella getting coded as a VAD for a heart transplant, unless it has to do with that statement about the patient waiting on gets a transplant or something. So you need to send that in so I can further investigate the situation there.
Into the FAQ mailbox, Melinda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, who's next? Erica.
Erica, are we to assume you mean Impellas were previously put in and removed prior to surgery to be captured as previous interventions?
Yes, and that's what we were talking about when we did the presentation. Previous CV interventions, meaning they had previously had these done. And they weren't in at the time. Yeah, these were previous. So I hope that answers Erica's question. Cindy, unfortunately, we've had a few TAVR, yeah. Those TAVR procedures are not fun.
No.
Does the AVR get marked as unplanned and will end up in the other category? So I'm assuming, Linda, you're talking about TAVR gone bad and then having to do a SAVR. The AVR is not going to be unplanned. It's going to be the planned CTS procedure because that's your index procedure. And the only way it will end up in the other category is if you do something else, like fix the LV that may be injured, or perhaps do some other something other kind of cardiac intervention that would warrant removing the case from isolation. Yes.
Does it make a difference if the TAVR was deployed or not?
I'm not if I assume you're talking about the TAVR gone bad when you're asking this question. So if you're talking about the TAVR gone bad, it doesn't matter if that TAVR was deployed or not. Most often, what happens is it's being deployed. You got an aortic injury or an LV injury that occurs, and it doesn't get deployed in the right place. So I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, Sharon. If that's not what you're talking about, you could please send the question into the mailbox.
So if the patient aborted the TAVR and didn't get emergent SAVR, but is now having another index procedure, which rule would apply?
Well, I guess it depends. The TAVR was aborted. It wasn't an and you didn't have it didn't result in an emergent procedure. And then we wouldn't code the TAVR because we have language about we don't capture aborted procedures unless they result in some sort of emergent surgical procedure in the training manual.
If the patient has a TMVR or mitral clip aborted due to cardiac injury, would we capture the aborted mitral procedure as previous procedure?
If it results in an emergent surgical index procedure, a procedure that you're going to be entering in as your index procedure, yes, then that's the only time you capture it.
If a patient has a surgical transaxillary impella 5.5 in place pre-heart transplant during the same hospitalization as transplant, do you then code impella under VAD? Would you code it under prior intervention?
Well, I think that's that specific, that we have some very, very specific language about if the patient goes on to have a heart transplant. Michelle, send me that question in so I can further investigate exactly what's happening with this patient. We do have some language, very specific language for a very specific situation in the training manual that you might be talking about.
If the TAVR valve was not implanted, then would we still capture as a prior CV surgery?
I'm assuming you're
Kind of
talking
answered.
about a TAVR gone
Yeah,
bad. I
yeah.
really didn't want to talk about TAVRs gone bad today, but I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. So if you're doing a TAVR, whether that valve gets implanted or not, and something bad happens, and the patient has to have an emergent SAVR or some other emergent open cardiac procedure that is a case that is entered into the database, then you would still code the TAVR as a prior CV intervention in that particular situation.
Okay. Is there a difference in coding open transaortic impella as previous cardiac intervention depending on timing, such as it was done prior and removed versus a patient going to surgery with impella inserted?
Correct. We're talking about prior CV interventions. Okay, so if it was done prior and removed, then it would be before the case, then it's a prior intervention. If the patient's going to surgery with the impella inserted, then you're going to fill out the sequence numbers that talk about the temporary assist device being in and when it was implanted and the type of assist device it is, et cetera, in the database.
And Julia says difference is that TAVR is percutaneous versus open heart.
I'm not sure what that means, but Julia, you are correct. TAVRs are percutaneous transcatheter procedures, which are not required to be entered into our database. The NCDR has a database for them to go into. And so
It's the STS ACC.
right.
database? Yeah.
And so that's where TAVRs are required to be entered into that database. And we don't require them to be entered into the adult cardiac surgical database, but some sites choose to enter them
I
in both
wonder,
places.
Melinda, if it might make sense in one of our upcoming monthly webinars to focus on TAVRs and transcatheter mitral valve procedures and tricuspid procedures.
Maybe, or even going over the case inclusion and how to choose your index procedure or something like that might be helpful.
Melinda,
Perhaps.
Sherry McDougall loves you and your education.
Thank you, Sherry.
And then Caroline, is there a way we can retrieve these review questions to refer back to?
Yes, this webinar will be posted. Usually what, Carol, like a week after or so, it gets posted on our YouTube channel. Plus it's for a couple of, I don't know how long you leave it on our website here, Carol.
I think it's until we have, I think we only post 3 current ones. So
Mhm.
under adult cardiac, under the webinar section for adult cardiac, we have the most recent ACSD webinars. Oh, actually, we have more than that. We're going back to March. You can pull up, you can go to the webinar recordings here, and then you can pull up the slides,
Right.
PDF slides here.
And if you can't find them here, because these are the most recent ones, you go to the YouTube channel, which is right below this, isn't it, Carol?
It's
link.
that link that, it's this link here where it says view webinar recording. And this will take you right over to the YouTube channel playlist.
All righty. Sheila says, for my site, you sent a data manager and surgeon and it worked out well. Thank you, Sheila. I try to do that when the surgeon submits the exceptional risk form. Thank you. Is there any way to have a quick link to reset password when logged out of IQVIA? Sometimes the need is time sensitive and response isn't quick enough.
I don't know. Paul,
yeah,
man, look at that. You're
yes, I'm
on
here.
the spot.
Yep. Yes, there is a link there already. It's just right under the logon information. There's a link that says forgot password. You forgot your password, you click on that. It'll reset your password automatically for you and email the new one to you. So that happens quickly. We would absolutely love it if people would see that and use that a little more often. The trick, though, is that you have to click that before you've entered in 3 incorrect passwords. So if you try it twice and you're still getting it wrong, go ahead and click that button. If you do it a 3rd time, you're going to get locked out as a safety precaution, and you'll have to go through help desk to get it reset then.
So here it is. Forgot password. Do
Yep.
it before you click the password wrong 3 times.
Thanks,
Is that
Paul.
the right takeaway message, Paul? Okay.
All right. If mortality unknown becomes less than 2%, will I begin to see star data for past harvest where the stars were suppressed due to unknown greater than 2% at that time?
Yes. I would say yes, Gerald.
Yeah, I think so. I have to make sure we understand the 3 fields that go into that 2% missingness.
Yeah.
But it won't update on previous reports, right, Carol?
It's not going to update on previous, for past harvest. No, you won't get star ratings for past harvest if you miss the, thanks, Leanne.
No problem.
You won't see star ratings for past harvest going forward if the current harvest we're in, that harvest closes and your data has less than the 2% missingness, then you would receive a star rating for that harvest. But we don't update star ratings for past harvest. It's a one run policy at STS. So the star ratings are only calculated once.
Good catch, Leanne. I missed
Yeah,
the past
thanks,
harvest.
Leanne.
Our facility is using the STS risk calculator. Where can I find the information on how to classify the patient's risk as being low, intermediate, etc., after getting the percentages of each category?
Yeah, we don't have, there are no documentation or no manuscripts that I'm aware of outside of SAVR risk calculations that classify patients as low, intermediate, or high risk. So it's really up to your surgeons to use that information to, along with all of the other tools they have in assessing the patient, make a decision how that patient falls within the risk that they're willing to put on that, to say that that patient is.
If the method of cardioversion was not identified, can this be included as previous other cardiac intervention?
Yeah, generally speaking, if they just say cardioversion, they mean mechanical, they shock the patient.
They will
You-
say if they gave a
Yeah,
patient
they will say it,
medication.
right, they'll say if it's chemically induced. That's pretty standard in the documentation. That'll be clear. So yes, Ramel, if it just says cardioversion, you can code it as a cardioversion.
When a patient is treated with Entresto, how do I code ACE or ARB?
Well, Entresto is actually an ARNI plus an ARB. So it's not an ACE plus an ARB, it's an ARNI plus an ARB. So code it as an ARB, Julia.
For the exceptional risk exclusion, is this only for elective cases or any case status? This is for any case status of our analyzed cases. And it has to be submitted prior to the patient going to surgery. Anything you want to add, Carol?
No, that's exactly right.
Donna, I am new to harvesting data. What dates are encompassed in Harvest 3? So Harvest 3 will be July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024. What is the status on aorta risk models and composites?
I can take that one.
Okay.
The aorta risk model paper has been submitted for publication, and I think we're expecting it to be published fairly soon. We're also expecting to have that risk model incorporated into analysis in 2025.
And for the beta blocker study, can you direct me to the YouTube webinar date so I can forward it to my manager? It might also be a great opportunity to encourage other sites to join. I think that webinar is dated October of 2023, but I'm not positive.
Let's see.
While you're looking
Yeah,
that up,
this is it. Look at that.
was that right?
Yeah, look at that, Nancy. So it is, we did beta blocker on October 4th, 2023. And
And
I'll put the link in the chat box.
And that was a very, very good webinar. It explained it very well.
Okay.
Lost my place momentarily. Hold on.
You're on Pat Hobbs.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry, Julia.
Julia, will aorta repairs launch as well? Will you be reducing the amount of variables for this PROC ID?
It's an aorta risk model. I'm not sure what you mean by aorta repairs. It's an aorta risk model, and then the plan is that probably with the next iteration of the database, we'll be looking at reducing the variables used in the aorta section. That's always our intent, is to decrease data burden.
All right. And Pat Hobbs, thank you very much for the excellent education. You're welcome, Pat. Melinda does a great job, and Carol. Julia, first cardiovascular open heart for the previous cardiac incidents, meaning open heart.
I was muted. I think she was talking about when Carol asked me about the incidents for the TAVR gone bad.
Yeah,
So yes, that would be first incidents because percutaneous procedures such as TAVRs generally do not affect incidents. We do have some very specific instructions in certain cases where they might, but 9 out of 10 times they're not going to affect incidents.
Caroline and Mary, excellent. Thank you so much. Mary, thank you for all these sessions. Really appreciate the polls. Always something to learn or relearn. Descriptions of what the webinar covers would be great.
I'll ditto that because people always send me questions about webinars and where to find them. And sometimes I can find them real easy. And other times I'm like, holy moly, I wish there was a name here beside this one.
It's funny because I remember the webinar April of 20, it was either 2019 or April of 2020 when we did the first PRAC ID webinar. Like I remember that, but I can't remember any of the other ones. And we tried to start putting descriptions in there to be helpful. But I don't know that I don't know what some of the changes that has happened.
No, I think it's getting better. I think it's the older ones that were really hard to find. At least these have labels on them and you can kind of get an idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for something specific, you can always click on the transcript.
Oh, there you go. But you know, maybe we should think about that in our free time to put together a list of webinar.
Work
Okay.
with marketing.
If you find an error after harvest closes, can you go back, fix, and resubmit? It won't be included in the analysis for that particular harvest, but please go back and fix it and resubmit it, and it will be, fixed for the next harvest. Julia was talking about root, ascending arch, and arch, and she appreciates all your extra time. Thank you.
Yeah, Carol, I'm not sure they've decided exactly what procedures are going to be in the aorta model, Julia. So I think that's what you're getting at. And I'm not sure we know the answer to that yet.
Yeah, we do. We have the answer to it. It's in the manuscript, but it's not published yet. So, and Nimesh Desai presented on this at AQO last year. You know what, before this model comes out, we'll have Nimesh come back, Dr. Desai come back on to one of our monthly webinars, and we'll go over the risk model prior to it being implemented into reports. Because there's certain, I think we are looking at ascending hemiarch and arch, but there's certain other things, you know, we're not doing dissections.
Right. And I don't think we're doing T-bars. I mean, I don't know. I would love to see the manuscript because I'm not quite clear on it yet either. And I'm sure the guys on the calls aren't either. So yeah, a webinar would be great as we get closer to this.
Yeah, we'll plan on that, Melinda, for sure.
And then Heather says a calendar invite with link would be easier.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about, we send out the webinar reminders the week of the webinars, and I'm trying to remember if there's a link in there, link on that email or not. But some of them I can certainly ask, Nancy, you and I can ask our marketing team to consider or get their input on that.
Yes.
And then Linda said potential error with the harvest report calculation. Linda, that really needs to be submitted to the STS FAQ mailbox. Not FAQ mailbox. Sorry, don't send that to Melinda. Send it to the help desk. Paul Meehan, what's your email at the help desk? Oh, Paul Meehan.
There we go. Yeah. You surprised me. So, STSDB_help desk
Yeah,
at
make sure,
STS. Yep, that's it.
make sure that's where you sent it in, Linda. I received some emails from folks who send questions like this into, I don't know what email they're sending it into, but it's not the help desk email. And it kind of gets stuck somewhere over, I
Mhm.
don't know where. And then they reach out, they would reach out to me and say, I haven't heard back yet, and it's oftentimes related to the email address. So just please make sure you send it into STSDB_helpdesk@sts.org.
I put that in the chat, Carol.
Yeah, and in general, I would say 99% of your questions should go there. Don't send them to anybody else. Send them there. If that's not the right help desk, we will forward it on to the right help desk. So as a general rule, send it to that help desk and only that help desk. It doesn't
Oh.
help. It doesn't help to copy all of the help desks.
It says, Paul,
that
you
just
replied
clutters
to me.
things.
So it must be maybe something you're
Ah,
still working on.
okay.
So we'll
I,
look into that, Linda.
okay, yeah, I'll have to look into the specifics of this one. So
And just to reiterate what Paul said, send help desk questions to the help desk, like, your data questions and things like that. And send me your clinical questions to the FAQ mailbox.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
So-
don't send Paul clinical questions. He's
No.
not clinical.
Yeah, that makes my head pop.
Yeah. Poor guy, we don't want to break him. Under the STS research and data for data managers, and this page is where you can submit the clinical questions to Melinda. Submit a request.
Okay. I think that
Okay.
was all the questions.
Okay, well, good webinar. I think we have some hands up. I certainly can certainly pull over those people and allow you to talk. Loretta and Alina, if you have questions, I'll go ahead and unmute yourself. I'll give you a few seconds here. Oh, there you go, Loretta.
Hi, as you said, Loretta. My question, I guess, is directed directly towards Melinda. It's a TAVR gone bad question. The patient presented with a non-STEMI back in June, went home, re-presented 7-2 for an elective TAVR. They deployed the TAVR and sustained an annular rupture. The plan was to try to treat it conservatively. 7-8, the patient developed VT, went for a permanent pacemaker. 7-9, they decided that after the patient had more VT that they were going to go ahead and upgrade to an ICD. They continued to monitor the patient on an inpatient basis until 7-15. They took him for a SAVR. And, so it wasn't an emergent SAVR. He'd been in the hospital for 13 days now from the TAVR gone bad. He went for a TAVR explant, a surgical AV replacement, and a ventricular septal repair because the annular disruption continued all the way into the septum. His past medical history is significant for a CABG back in 2013. So, because it's an urgent procedure, does that change whether or not, and he's going for a SAVR? According to in the training manual, it says if the patient had a previous TAVR and is now getting a SAVR, it counts as a first re-op.
Okay, so are you asking me about whether you coded it as a prior CV intervention, Loretta, or are you asking me about incidents?
I believe I'm asking about incidents.
Okay. So incidents, how many? I don't think it's going to affect any. It's not going to affect incidents because it's a TAVR, right? So TAVRs, and it's so new, that valve's so new. First of all, I guess this goes into a lot of questions, but was the valve actually deployed? Did they actually, is the valve in there, or was it?
They did. The TAVR was actually deployed.
And they left it in with
They
the,
left it in the valve? It was in the aortic valve position?
Yes,
And how, but you still had surgery during the same episode of care?
correct.
And so that TAVR valve is so new. This is how we train for the TAVR gone bad. That's such a new TAVR
the
valve
TAVR Gone Bad Olympics.
that it's not had any time to develop any scar tissue or anything. So it's not going to affect incidence in this particular situation. The only reason a prior TAVR affects incidence in an aortic valve re-op is because of the extensive scar tissue that's there and the difficulty getting that valve out. Something that's put in that recently, there's no time for that scar tissue to develop, so it's not going to affect incidence in this particular situation.
Okay, so the reason for surgery is a planned SAVR. The TAVR goes under a previous cardiac intervention. And it gets kicked out of a standalone SAVR because of the ventricular septum repair.
Yes, because you're also repairing that the ventricle. Yeah.
But then because of the cabbage back in 2013, it is a first re-op.
Well, yeah, you didn't tell me how to cabbage before.
Yeah, that's the one piece of past medical history that's pertinent. Yes.
Yes. All right.
Right. Perfect.
We're not laughing at you, Loretta. We're laughing with you.
Yeah. I'm like, damn, she should have told me that from the beginning.
I slid it in there right at the end, and I guess I kind of. So okay, perfect. Thank you.
And if you need those slides, Loretta,
I need those slides.
just send me a thing in the mailbox and I'll send you the slides.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Melinda. Alina, are you there? Able to unmute? Good question, Loretta. Alina's not unmuting. Okay, I think we're good. Jackie says, great scenario, great answer. Are we free to go? Are we satisfied with everything we covered here today? Thanks everybody for staying on extra long. If you weren't able to stay on, you don't hear this right now, but at least it's recorded and you can go back and listen to it.
Great call, guys.
Yeah, it was a good one. Good job, Melinda. Good job, Nancy. Way to go, Nancy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining. And hope to see you next month. I can't believe AQO is in a month.
Oh my God.
I can't either.
I
Please.
can't think about it. Oh my God.
I'm having a hard time wrapping it around my head.
Coming up soon. We're going to see everybody in person. All right. Thanks everybody for joining. Have a great, Nancy, you can close it out. This is your webinar now.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining. Have a good rest of your week.